the record in the matter of the state of Michigan versus Carlos Diaz Torrens, 25-02211. Appearance, please.
Good morning, afternoon, Your Honor. Jennifer Lawton on behalf of the people.
Stephen Freeman, the Under Public Defender, appearing on behalf of defendant Diaz Torres.
So today was the date that was scheduled for preliminary examination of 8 criminal sexual conduct counts. And my understanding is that we're ready to proceed at this time.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any preliminary matters?
Yes, just one, Your Honor. The victim in this matter is 17 years old. Under MCL 600.2163A, that does qualify her to have a courtroom support dog. We do have a support dog present from the Michigan State Police along with its handler. I don't believe that there's an objection from the defense to using the dog today.
With the dog that just barked at me when I was walking down the hallway. So I can't leave the courtroom, so.
I was not in the hallway.
Yeah, it didn't like me, so.
I don't believe that'll be an issue.
Oh, okay, all right, no problem,
Thank you, Your
no
Honor.
worries. Any additional matters?
That's it from the people.
Nothing preliminarily granted. Thank you.
You can call your first witness.
People call Emmeline Grace Dingy.
Can I have you raise your right hand first? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give us the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
You can have a seat.
Can you spell your full name for us, please?
EMILINEGRACEDINGE.
And do you prefer to use your middle name of Grace?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what most people call you?
Yes, ma'am.
Grace, how old are you?
17.
What is your date of birth?
11/29/2007.
I beg your pardon, counsel, Your Honor. Could I turn that fan off?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is, yep,
That's all I hear is the fan.
no worries.
Thank you.
Grace, I know it's hard, but try to keep your voice up as much as you can, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know someone by the name of Carlos Diaz Torrens?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know?
I lived with him for a period of time.
Why did you live with him?
My mom thought it would be a good idea because she lived in a ghetto, which she called to be an unsafe ghetto apartment at the time. We had just got done doing homework.
So is this a person that your mom was familiar with?
To an extent, yes.
And she asked you to live with Carlos?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your mom live with you as well?
No. No.
When was it that you lived with Carlos?
I can't remember an exact year. I know it was after quarantine. So probably 2021, 2022.
Do you remember how old you were at that time?
I was 12, turning 13 when I initially met him.
When you met him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How old were you when you moved in with him?
I would have been 13.
13? Okay. When you moved in with Carlos, do you know if there was any type of, did he have some kind of legal guardianship over you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you were just staying with him.
Yes, ma'am.
Did Carlos take care of your everyday needs?
Yes, ma'am.
Things like taking you to school and
Yes.
feeding you? Okay. When you moved in with Carlos, do you know where that house was?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was it?
On the north side of Pennsylvania Street in Lansing.
I'm sorry. Pardon me.
The north side of Pennsylvania Street in Lansing.
Is that in Ingham County?
Yes, ma'am.
When you moved into, what kind of a house was it? Was it a house, an apartment?
It was a house.
A house? Did anyone else live in that house?
Yes, ma'am.
Who else lived there?
2 other men, Mike and the other Mike, what we call the other Mike Cozy.
Were Mike and Cozy adult men?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you moved in with Carlos, do you know how old he was at that time?
27, I believe.
Did you have your own room at that house?
Not to start.
Explain that to me.
When I first moved in, there's 3 bedrooms in the home. One for Carlos, and one for each of the Mikes. So I stayed with Carlos in his room.
Did you have your own bed?
No, ma'am.
Where did you sleep?
I slept in Carlos's bed with Carlos.
Was there a living room?
Yes, ma'am.
Did that living room have furniture in it?
Yes, ma'am.
Whose idea was it for you to sleep in the bed with Carlos?
I don't recall.
Grace, I want to ask you about a time that you were at the Mount Hope Church. Do you recall a time you were there with Carlos?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is the Mount Hope Church located?
I believe it's on Washington Street. I know it's near Saginaw Highway on the western side of the city.
In Ingham County,
I believe so, yes.
Lansing? Was that a church that you attended regularly?
No, ma'am. I would only attend sometimes with Carlos and other guys from Endeavor House.
Whose idea was it for you to attend that church?
I believe Carlos wanted me to go with him this time, because my mom was having a meeting at Endeavor House.
Were you there to see your mom?
At Endeavor House, she had brought me with her. I was living with her at the time, and I was just gonna wait in the car, I believe, while she was in the meeting, and Carlos offered for me to go with her.
Go with him to the church?
Yes.
Okay. So the time that you were at the church with Carlos, that was before you had moved in with him?
Yes, ma'am.
At that point, was he just a friend of your mom's to you, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you have some type of contact with Carlos in the church? Can you explain to us what?
They have this prayer room at Mount Hope, and it's like this really big room in the corner of the building, and it has like windows for walls. And there's separate rooms in there for you to go in and pray and have counsel with pastors and that. Nobody was in there. And Carlos had asked me to get some med.
Stop you right there for a second, okay? You said that there were windows for walls, but there were separate areas in the
Yeah,
room?
so when you walk into the room, it's a really big area. I believe there's benches in the middle, and it's got like, it's really cool, like cathedral through the ceiling, and the walls are like all windows, but they're the type of like one-way window, so you can see out, but you can't see in, and
Okay,
it's also upstairs.
and then there were separate rooms within that room?
Yes, so
Okay.
like how that room is over there, like there are other rooms in the one room.
Okay. So were you in the big area of the room or in one of those
We were in
smaller
one of the
rooms?
smaller rooms.
One of the smaller rooms. Did those smaller rooms have windows?
No,
And you said that he asked you to give him head. What did that mean to you?
that I put right now on chemical.
How old were you at that time?
13.
Did you really know what that meant at that time?
I knew a little, but not really.
Had you heard of it?
Yeah,
Okay. What did you say when he said that?
I agreed.
You agreed?
I did, and I did it.
Okay. Did he give you instructions on how to do that?
I need to wrap my lips around my teeth.
Or anything else?
Admin about my team.
And when you agreed, what did that entail? Did you put your mouth on his genitals? Okay. And when you say his genitals, what do you mean by that? His penis? And did that continue for a period of time? How did that end? When you say that he came in your mouth, do you mean that he ejaculated semen? How do you know that he did that? Phoenix is right next to you if you need him, okay? Did anything else happen while you were at the church? Okay. After that ended, after he came in your mouth, did he say anything to you at that time? Okay. Did you continue to stay at the church for a while?
Yeah, it was like service was still going and went back out and sat and watched the service. And then it was over.
Okay. And do you recall about what time of year that was? I know you said you were 13.
Yeah, I know it was summer. It was warm outside.
Let me ask you this. Do you remember what time of year it was that you moved in with?
I believe it was still summer.
Still summer? But sometime after that incident at the church, is that right? Okay. After you moved in with Carlos, was there a time that he engaged in some type of sexual contact with you? And was there some type of sexual contact at that house on Pennsylvania? Tell me about the first time that that happened.
Carlos had just gotten the house off of Section 8.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling to hear her.
Carlos had just gotten the house off of Section 8, and he had to clean it all out. It was like dirty in there and stuff. He had asked, I believe that he directly asked me if I would come and help him clean up the house. I was staying with my mom at the time in Mike's mom's basement. Mike Kenoy, he's like the director of Endeavor House, and his mom was really old, so he asked my mom and I if we could stay there.
Let me stop you for just a minute right there, okay? I just want to clarify a couple of things, but you're doing great. Is that a different mic, not the mic that was living there? Okay. And you had not yet moved into that house, is that correct? Okay. So you went over there to help him clean up the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me what happened then.
We were standing, when you open the front door, it goes, there's a doorway over here, and it leads into the living room and the dining room, the kitchen, and then
You're kind of pointing to your left?
yes.
Okay.
And right in front of you, when you open the doors, the stairs, and a little an entryway. And I remember we were standing in the entryway, and he stuck his hands down my pants and touched.
When he stuck his hands down your pants, were you wearing underwear?
Yeah.
Was it outside of your underwear or inside?
Inside.
Where did he touch you?
My vagina.
Was he using one hand or two hands? Did his hand touch the outside of your vagina or the inside?
I'm sorry, you can answer.
She said both. Did he say anything to you at that time?
He was talking about how wet I was.
Did you say anything to him?
Not that I recall.
What happened next?
Cleaning his house, and days later I remember we were in the kitchen, and I was in the process of giving him head, and knocked on the door. It was that lady that brought him up here from Florida. I don't recall her name.
It was just another woman that came into the house?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened when she came in?
We stopped when she knocked on the door, and he was just talking to her about the house and stuff, and I don't really recall much after that.
And you said that you were giving him head in the kitchen? Okay. Did that again involve your mouth on his penis?
Yes.
His penis was inside your mouth?
Yes.
Was there a time, Grace, when you were on the couch in the house?
Yes.
Actually, not, I'm gonna back you up just a minute, I'm sorry. That time when you were cleaning the house, do you remember what time of year that was?
Probably like the end of summer, beginning of fall.
And was that after the incident at the church? And there was an incident when you were on the couch in the living room, is that right? Okay. During that incident, had you moved into the house at that point? Okay. Tell me what happened on the couch in the living room.
I haven't lost my virginity yet, and I got in on top of me. He was kissing me. And, off. He took my pants off and he put penis inside.
When you say that he put his penis inside of you, what body part are you referring to? Do you remember if Carlos's pants were on or off?
They were off.
And that couch was at that house on Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Did he say anything to you when that was happening?
I don't recall him saying to me anything during the process, but I do recall him talking about how if he had done it, how he planned on doing it, it would have been hurt.
Do you know what he meant by that?
That he wanted to be rough.
Did it in fact hurt you? Explain to me how it hurt you.
It was like a burning, searing pain, and there was blood.
A lot of blood? Some blood. Was that blood from your vagina?
Yes.
Were you on your period at that time?
No.
How did that encounter end?
After he put it in on the couch, he took me upstairs to his bedroom and continued raping me for a while.
So let me just clarify a couple of things, Grace. When it happened on the couch, you took your pants off, put his penis in your vagina, is that right? Okay. And then took you upstairs to his bedroom, is that right? Okay. Were your pants still off at that time? Okay. When you went upstairs to the bedroom, was there a bed in that bedroom? Were you on the bed or something else? And what happened then once you said he continued? What do you mean by that?
Like, raping me.
When you say that he was raping you, can you tell me what body parts that involved?
His penis and my vagina.
One more incident I want to ask you about, Grace. Do you remember an incident that happened on Thanksgiving?
Yes.
And that would have been Thanksgiving of 2021? Okay. Actually, I'm sorry, Grace, let me back you up just a minute. The incident that happened on the couch in the bedroom, how old were you at that time? And then on Thanksgiving, how old would you have been at that time?
13 almost.
At that time, were you living with Carlos at that time?
Yes.
And tell me what happened on Thanksgiving.
Carlos's parents were coming in from out of town. His dad lived in Puerto Rico and his mom was in Florida, I believe, and they were coming up to a visit. And we were having some sort of party for my mom's birthday at a restaurant, and I went home with Carlos. And I had a bedroom in his house at this time, and he took a shower and asked me to vacuum while he was in the shower. I vacuumed the house, and when he got out of the shower, he took my clothes off. Right.
Where were you in the house at that time?
In my room.
In your room? And when you say that he raped you, what do you mean by that? Did he say anything to you at that time? Cool. Did anything else happen on that incident? When you talked earlier about initially when you moved into the house, you and Carlos shared a bed, is that right?
Yeah.
Did anything ever happen when you were sharing that bed between you and Carlos?
Yes.
Explain that to me.
Oftentimes at night I'd wake up and Rose would be holding me and touching me in inappropriate places and
You say in inappropriate places, what do you mean by that?
on my chest. And
What was he touching you with?
his hands or his ears. His mouth.
How often would that happen?
I don't.
Chris, did you ever tell anyone at that time what was happening with Carlos? When you were living with Carlos, did you have a good relationship with your mom?
Not really.
Chris, do you see Carlos in the courtroom here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me where he's seated and what he's wearing? Pointing to your left, to my right, is that right? Okay, Your Honor, if the record would reflect the identification of the defendant.
Without objection.
So moved.
No further questions.
Cross exam.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. You need to break.
Do you need any water?
No, I'm okay.
You recognize an address of 202 South Price?
Is that where the church is?
I don't know.
I don't recognize. I recognize Christ Road, but I don't recognize that address.
The timeframe that you've been talking about is September through December of 2021. Does that sound right?
I believe so.
I'm a little confused as to how this started with respect to you moving in with Carlos. What, can you help me understand what your situation was? What changed?
My mom moved to Lansing because she worked at Endeavor House, which was the recovery home.
Okay,
And during that time, we had been living in Owasso before moving to Lansing. We moved to Lansing because our lease in Owasso was up and it wasn't renewable. So, and my mom didn't have the financial stability to like get another apartment or anything like that. So Mike Kenoy gave her an apartment or let her stay in the basement of his mom's home. And during that time, my mom had a falling out with Mike, and he asked us to leave the home. And so she moved us into a homeless shelter. And then my mom got in a car accident and was in the hospital for a while. And so she asked if I could stay with Carlos during that time, and it turned into, even after she was out of the hospital, she got placed into affordable housing on Pennsylvania Street towards the south side.
let me interrupt you just for a second. Rather than staying at the shelter, your mother who suggested you stay with Carlos?
I couldn't stay at the shelter without her being there because I was a minor.
Okay,
So she asked if I could stay at Carlos's house while she was in the hospital
okay.
Let me stop you. How does your mom know Carlos?
from Endeavor House.
Okay. Thank you.
During your testimony thus far, we were talking about going over to a house on Pennsylvania Avenue that was in cleaning. Is that right? It would appear to you as though it was vacant, no one lived there?
It didn't look like, well, how do you mean?
Well, all the rooms empty and no curtains on the windows.
Yes, sir. Well, there were curtains on the windows and stuff, and there was like already a little bit of furniture in there. Like there was a table, a dining room table, a big tall one with chairs around it already in there. And I believe the couch was there too.
Okay, thank you. Because I thought you told us that you went over there to clean essentially, and that after one episode you went upstairs and you violated on the bed upstairs. Was
Oh,
there
the
a
house
bed?
came with a bed as well, I do believe.
Okay, so there was a bed there.
Yes, the big king size bed up in the bedroom, in the corner bedroom, the second one on the left.
Okay. Thank you. Council asked you, and I think you answered that there was no formal relationship between you and Carlos. There wasn't any court proceeding, anything
No, there
that
was
he'd be a guardian or something. No, nothing like
no,
that.
to my knowledge, there was not.
Rely on your mother, even though she was in the hospital.
I really couldn't. When she was like out of commission altogether, and Carlos, he did stuff up and paid for food and stuff like that and made sure I got to school.
I read somewhere that you described him as a brother-like figure.
Yes,
Did you?
I did describe him like that.
Okay. Don't remember, the truthful answer is just to say, remember, okay? I want you to make something up. All right. If you remember, who's the first grown-up you told about Carlos?
I like about what was happening between Carlos and I.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna make anything up. I can't answer that.
okay, you don't have a memory today as to who it was? I think I read somewhere that as time goes on, you're able to remember more and more things. Does that sound right?
I would say that as time goes on and I heal more, my brain does allow me to remember more.
Remember how long you were living in the house on Pennsylvania?
I couldn't give you an exact time answer, but I know it was over a year.
Over a year
I do believe.
with Carlos in the same house?
Yes.
that arrangement was
Yeah.
for about a year?
I'd say.
Thank you. You said he started, he took his clothes off. And realized that we were talking about more than one time. Help me understand how he did that. How did he take the clothes off?
With his hand. I keep my hands off and my underwear. Sometimes he just leave it like that and leave my shirt on. Sometimes he take my shirt off and my bra.
Did you say anything to him at any of those times?
Can't recall.
You don't remember the address on Pennsylvania?
I believe it was 806 North Pennsylvania Avenue.
What's the Mount Hope Church more than once with Carlos?
Yes, sir.
Medical treatment or care during these episodes?
Not, I mean, I've gone to therapy, and I have gotten STD tested because of it.
Sure. You mentioned blood, and I suspect that was perhaps an injury of some kind. I was just curious if you had any treatment for that. Have you sought any counseling?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been doing that?
Almost a year now, I believe.
This was in 2021. When did you first report? When did you first tell someone about this?
Last summer.
Remember what caused that? In other words, you didn't say anything to anybody, and you did.
I mean, I really didn't get along, and I didn't trust her, and I felt like she would judge me, and I just never felt safe enough to tell her. And for a really long time, I just felt like it wasn't my place to tell her. Like, I should be
Take your
safe.
time. Take your time. I don't mean to upset you. I was just curious what if there was something that happened.
I had gone up north to visit my aunt, and I just felt really safe. And I ended up breaking down and telling her.
And you were living north of Lansing?
I was living in Lansing at the time. I was visiting up north.
You were visiting. Okay. Thank you. And that was a relative?
A friend, a family friend.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Redirect.
Just briefly, Your Honor. Grace, when we were talking about the church initially, you said that you thought maybe that was on Washington Street.
I believe it might have been Washington, but when he said Christ, that sounded really familiar.
Okay. Did you ever go to more than one church with Carlos?
Yes, we used to go to CCF, Christian Calvary Fellowship, I believe. Okay. That was called, but that was mainly for meetings and occasionally for church. I don't know where that one, I believe it's off Home Street on that side, the west side.
Okay. You know, the church that you're talking about was the Mount Hope Church, is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
right? Is it possible that that is on Christ Road?
Maybe.
You were 13 at the time, right?
Yeah.
Didn't have a driver's license.
No.
Oh. Chris, do you currently live with your mom or do you live with someone
There
else?
was someone else.
I have no further questions.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may be excused, please. Any other witnesses?
No people rest.
Is the defense calling witnesses today?
No proofs today, Your Honor. Thank you.
Argument.
Can I have just a brief moment? I think that there's going to be some requested changes to the. Thank you. Okay, Your Honor, I think I'm all set. For starters, Your Honor, I would ask that the date range be amended. Currently, the date range is September 1st of 2021 through and including December 31st of 2021. There was testimony from Grace Dingy that these incidents initially began in the summer of 2021. So I would ask that that date range be extended to read June 1st of 2021 through and including December 31st of 2021. In regards to the separate counts, Your Honor, I guess I'll go through them based on her testimony and then try to relate that back to how we've got things in the complaint. But I do think that there are going to need to be some changes here. We heard from Grace Dingy, Emmeline Grace Dingy this morning. She testified that she is familiar with the defendant because she lived with him for a period of time at the request of her mother, who was going through some personal issues. She was 13 at that time. She said that the first incident occurred at the Mount Hope Church. There is some conflicting testimony as to where that is located. It does appear that may be located on Kreitz Road, which is in Eaton County. However, it does appear that that is within a mile of the Ingham County border, which would still give this court jurisdiction under 762.3. Grace testified that at that location, that the defendant asked her to give him head. She clarified that to mean that his penis was in her mouth. I believe that that satisfies, and that she was 13 at the time, I believe that that satisfies the elements for a criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree. That is currently charged as count 2, which is an alternative to count 1. I do not believe there was testimony to bind over on a 1st degree charge on that, but that does satisfy a criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree. So I would ask for bind over on count 2. She next testified that when she was at the defendant's house, however, this was prior to her living with him there, that they were in the kitchen of that house, that he put his hands down her pants, that his hand and his fingers were inside of her vagina. I believe that again, Your Honor, satisfies the elements, and that she was 13 at the time, that satisfies the elements to a criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree. So that would be count 4, which was charged as an alternative to count 3. So I would ask for bind over on count 4. She also, well, actually, no, I'm sorry, because count 4 is currently listed as engaged in sexual penetration to wit, penis, vagina. I would ask that that be amended to finger genital opening. Additionally, Your Honor, there was testimony that at that same time in the kitchen that she did, again, she referred to it as giving him head, which she clarified as the defendant's penis in her mouth. She said that that stopped when another woman entered that kitchen. I believe that, and that she was 13 at the time, I believe that that satisfies the elements of a criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree, which would be count 6. But that penetration would need to be amended to.
I'm sorry, you're talking about the kitchen?
Yes, kitchen. She said that his penis was.
Okay, count 6.
Yes, in her mouth. So that would need to, the penetration would be mouth, penis. She next testified that they were in the living room of the house. She did say that they were not living together at that time. However, it did occur in that house that he took her pants off, that he got on top of her, that he put his penis in her vagina. He said that he wanted it to rough. She testified that there was burning, searing pain, and that afterwards there was blood coming from her vagina. She also testified that she was 13 at that time. I do believe that that satisfies the elements to a criminal sexual conduct in the first degree, which would be count 7. However, I would ask that the variable be changed. It does not appear they were members of the same household at that time. But based on her testimony that there was burning and searing pain and blood from the vagina, that did cause an injury to Grace Dingy. She then further testified that they then went upstairs, that he again put his penis in her vagina. He did not testify to an injury in regards to that, so I believe that would satisfy the elements of a criminal sexual conduct in the third degree. That would be penis genital opening. I believe that would make that
Added count.
added count 9. She then testified as to an incident that occurred on Thanksgiving of 2021 when she was 13. She was almost 14. She testified that that occurred in the bedroom of the house, and she did testify that at that time she was living in that house with Carlos, the defendant, that he did put his penis in her vagina, and that she was again 13, almost 14 at that time. That does satisfy the elements of a criminal sexual conduct in the first degree because they were members of the same household at that time. So I believe that would be an added count, not count 10 of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree.
Further argument?
Your Honor, I think that the victim was extremely credible in this testimony, so I would just ask for bind over on those counts.
Mr. Freeman.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I first have a question. I was following along until counsel reached count 7 and then turning to count 8. If I remember correctly, we're going to change the dates on all counts, but as to count 8, that was I thought it was passed over. She said it added count 9. And
Yeah, count 8 was originally charged in the alternative to count 7. Count 7 was the criminal sexual conduct in the first degree. I do think that the elements of count 7 were satisfied, so there's no need for the alternative count 8.
Yeah, because of the injury.
Correct.
All right, now I'm understanding. Thank you for clarifying. For the record, Your Honor, of course, I object to the bind over. Thank you.
Okay, today was the date scheduled for preliminary examination. This is the prosecution's burden to establish sufficient probable cause that the felonies alleged were committed and sufficient probable cause to charge you, Mr. Diaz-Torrens, as the person who committed these alleged felonies. This is not a trial. They don't have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. They just need to show more than mere suspicion that the allegations alleged took place. The court is the sole determiner of any credibility of witnesses at the time of the exam, and the elements are to be met by testimony and other circumstances as presented today during today's proceeding. We did have testimony from one witness, the alleged victim in this case. It's Emily Dingy, I believe is how we say her last name, but she goes by the name of Grace. She testified at length about a time frame which the prosecutor's request to amend beginning in June of 2021 through a period of December 31st, 2021, in which she resided or was sent by her mother to reside with the person she identified as Carlos Diaz-Torrens, and that she was residing with him on the south or the north side, I should say, of Lansing, Pennsylvania, north side of Pennsylvania and Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County. And she testified to several incidents engaging criminal sexual conduct. At the time, she gave testimony that her age, based on her date of birth, she was about the age of 13 years old, which would make her by law ineligible to even consent to any such interactions. The elements of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree, it says that the defendant engage in a sexual act that either in A, has entry into the victim's genital opening or anal opening by the defendant, and that the defendant used his finger, penis, tongue, or another object to make that entry. Any entry, no matter how slight, is enough. It doesn't matter whether the sexual act was completed or whether semen was ejaculated, or it could be under B, that the alleged victim / the defendant used his mouth or have that victim use her mouth on the defendant's penis. Any entry, no matter how slight, is enough, and it doesn't matter whether the sexual act was completed or whether semen was ejaculated. It could be under paragraph C, a touching of the victim in this matter with the defendant's genitals or genital organs on the defendant's mouth or tongue, or by D, entry of any part of the person's body with some object into the genital or anal opening of another person. Any entry, no matter how slight, is enough. It is alleged that the case that the sexual act was committed in this particular case in count 1, actually would be count 2, because the people are not, they were charged with alternative. Count 2, which is criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree. The allegations for the elements there is first that the victim, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. It's between 86 and 13. That's a variable. Can you give me the criminal jury instruction for 3rd degree, please?
Your next 20.12.
Okay, elements for that is that the defendant engaged in a sexual act that involved one of the following: entry into the victim's genital anal opening by the defendant's penis, finger, or tongue, or another object. Any entry, no matter how slight, is enough, and it doesn't matter whether the sexual act was completed or whether semen was ejaculated, or it could be entry into the victim's mouth by the defendant's penis, or it could be touching of the victim genital opening or organ with the defendant's mouth or tongue, or entry of any part of the one person's body by some object into the genital anal opening of another person's body. And that people are asking for bind over in count 2 based on an incident that took place at allegedly took place at Mount Hope Church, which the victim originally testified that she believed it might have been on Washington, but off of Saginaw. When re-questioned, I think she said she was familiar with Crites Road, but that she wasn't exactly familiar with the address of 202 South Crites. Of course, the court is familiar as to the location of where Mount Hope Church is, but I think the victim's testimony was sufficient enough as to a probable cause standard as to the location of the address, Mount Hope Church, on the west side of the state, off of Saginaw or at or near Saginaw, and that area is within the 1 mile radius of Ingham County, making venue in this court appropriate. And so the testimony she gave about that incident satisfies the elements as to count 2, criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree with a 13-year-old child. That will be bound over to the circuit court, amending the date range on as requested as well by the prosecution. Then the people are asking for bind over for count 2, criminal sexual conduct, again in the 3rd degree, and amending the variables from finger to genital. And the date range, I believe, is already, well, we'll amend the date range from June 2021 to December 31st, 2021. And this is based on an alleged incident that took place at the house on Pennsylvania after the defendant got his home on Section 8 and allegedly stuck his hands in the victim's pants, penetrating her genitally with his finger. The court is satisfied that there is sufficient probable cause as to that count that will be bound over to the circuit court. The people are requesting bind over on count 6, criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree, and amending the nature of penetration, I think mouth to genital was the request, mouth to penis on that. And that's based on the testimony about an incident that occurred in the kitchen at the home prior to some party knocking on the door. The court is satisfied as to count 6 having sufficient probable cause. That will be bound over to the circuit court. Count 7, criminal sexual conduct in the 1st degree. There was testimony about an incident that allegedly took place in the living room on the couch, to which the victim testified that she had not lost her virginity prior to that, and that the defendant took off her pants and engaged in penis to vaginal intercourse, causing, she said, having rough sex causing a tearing, painful sensation with blood present. And so the court is satisfied that there is sufficient probable cause, that the elements were satisfied for count 7 to be bound over to the circuit court for further prosecution. The people are requesting to add a count 9, and that would be for criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree, penis to genital penetration, based on the testimony of the victim about later the same evening of the same date of the incident on the couch, the continuing intercourse period of time, that the court is satisfied that there's sufficient probable cause to sustain that to be bound over to the circuit court. The people are also requesting for an added count 10, sexual conduct in the 1st degree, because the parties were members of the same household at the time of the alleged raping encounter on Thanksgiving. The victim at the time being 13, almost 14, and living in the same home. That will be bound over to the circuit court. Bind over date on these matters will be the 27th of August. That's the date the circuit court receives the file from the district court, not a date that Mr. Diaz-Torrens needs to appear in court. His next court date will be a pre-trial in circuit court, and his attorney will be made aware of that. Do you have any questions for the court at this time, Mr. Diaz-Torrens? I can't hear you. Bond in this matter is denied per Michigan Court Rule 6.106 B16. That will continue. Also, there is no contact or frequenting parks, playgrounds, or anywhere where children can be found, and no contact order with the protected party. Any additional matters for the record?
Nothing else from the people, thank you.
Nothing else from the defense either. Thank you.
Thank you. You're all set.